Hello out there, my friends. It is I, Hondo Onaka. Now you know what to do. You must tune in to my favorite podcast, the Five-ish Fangirls. Otherwise, there could be consequences.
The tangents as we continue all the way to episode 331 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And after more than 2 years, the event, the moment that I know everyone has been anticipating, the return of Booth Mom!
Dun dun dun!
Yeah. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do with a virtual table and see who joined us this week. And we lost Brittany.
Well, this is Christy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana, and hopefully Brittany will return. But Mother Nature,
It's deciding not to play nice.
yes. I swear, if a fly farts, her internet goes out. So.
Yeah.
Just note, people, that as much as, I know there are people out there, I'm not one of them, but I know there are people out there that love the great outdoors and would prefer to live someplace away from the noise and the hustle and bustle of, the noise pollution and the light pollution. But, internet out there, not so easy.
No.
Good internet.
Good internet.
Depends on your provider. Back
if you could find a reliable provider in that detailed of an area, sign me up. If not,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Anyway. So we're all here. Brittany was here. So
hopefully she will return.
we'll work on this.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
we need to do the news. Sorry. Oh my goodness. I'm awake. It's been a long weekend, but we will get to that. Okay. First up, one piece of 10 o'clock news. Last week after sometime last week, Robert Downey Sr., so the father of Robert Downey Jr., passed away at the age of 85 after dealing with Parkinson's. Robert, posted on his social medias, and
which it's one of those things. It's like, well, I mean, Parkinson's is just it's a bad deal all around. So it's you're sort of like, well, at least he's not suffering anymore, but still you feel for the family and you feel for
to watch the deterioration is not to be easy. And I think this is fairly public knowledge. We even talked about this when we talked about Robert a couple of weeks ago, when we were talking about his history, and the fact that for better or for worse, his father, who was a filmmaker and a producer and all those things, he was the one who gave him his first role in a film, and therefore kind of gave Robert his break, I guess, into show business. But at the same time, it's well known that his father also introduced him to drugs at a very young age. The history there is,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So I can't I can't imagine what this was like for Robert to watch someone that obviously watch his parents succumb to this awful disease. And I was talking to somebody actually after this news broke, a couple days after, and they mentioned is like, yeah, I saw chatter online that some people were confused because Robert seems to have RDJ has like stopped following like his Marvel fellow cast members on social media and stuff, and they're like what's going on there? I said, honestly, he's probably getting off of social media.
In general,
it may be temporary, it may be a long-term thing, who knows, but RDJ has not had a good go recently. His longtime assistant Jimmy passed away recently too, very unexpectedly, apparently in a horrific car accident. And Jimmy has been Robert's like right hand for a long time. So to have Jimmy, die so unexpectedly, and also probably in the process of watching his father, deteriorate and now finally pass. So, I totally would understand if Robert feels like he needs to get away from social media. And it's not that he's probably just like, walking away from his Marvel family. They've all got each other's phone numbers. I'm sure they're keeping in touch in real life.
Right.
So,
and he's got
newsflash.
Yeah.
Newsflash, Twitter is not the only way you can keep in contact with people. We have these things called phones.
Thank goodness.
Where you don't have to like have your
chats.
Yeah, where you don't have to have your entire life splayed out there for the public. You can actually just talk directly to people, and you don't have to, put it all out there for the tabloids and whoever to drool over.
And he's got his production company too that's working on Sweet Tooth and the Perry Mason thing for HBO. So maybe he's decided, I'm going to switch gears for a little while and go from there.
Exactly. So
just let the man be. Don't be stirring the pot where there doesn't need to be anything stirred up.
Exactly.
Yep. So, when not even going to begin to try and guess, what's going on behind the scenes. But,
right. Exactly.
But either way, our sympathy goes out to Robert and, his wife and the kids, they lost their grandfather and all that. So there you go. So let's switch to happier things. We got a couple of trailers for things that are coming down the pipeline, which make me very, very happy. First up, I did not know this was a thing. I know the Peter Jackson documentary is coming out this December on Disney Plus, with all like the hours and hours of unseen footage from like the Let It Be sessions and stuff. So, be prepared for this Christmas.
Yes.
So, but in the meantime, actually this week, dropping on Hulu. So if you're one of those people that has, Disney Plus and Hulu together, you're set. Is a 6-part documentary called McCartney 321, and it is Paul McCartney with Rick Rubin, who is a well-known music producer, among other things. But yeah, that will drop on Hulu on July 16th. And I believe all 6 parts will drop at once. So I know what I'm doing this weekend. November. Sorry, not even Christmas. Thanksgiving is the Peter Jackson documentary, The Beatles Get Back, which utilizes over 55 hours of previously unseen footage from the 1969 Let It Be session. So, and this Paul McCartney thing, I mean, as huge as like a fan I am, even just in this trailer, like there's this short little clip of part of, I'm sure a bigger, we'll hear the entire story, but Paul talks about how, like they were out late at night. I don't know if he means with the Beatles or if he means with Wings, but either way, he was out late and they got carjacked. And
Oh no!
Yeah, someone stole like the tapes that they had on them.
Was that for the Band on the Run?
I don't know.
I'm thinking it might have been, because I think they might have been in Laos, because I remember reading something about.
He says something about there being a bunch of hippies and not knowing any better. So yeah, it may have been in the 70s.
Yeah, so. I'm thinking that might have been what it was.
Yeah, but I'm like, I don't know that story.
My memory serves right. We'll see if my memory serves right when that comes up.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited for that. So, and I'm also excited for the Peter Jackson documentary too. So, which will come out. The first part, it's a 3-parter documentary, so it'll drop November 25th, 26th, and 27th. So essentially Thanksgiving. So I know what I'm doing over Thanksgiving. Not shopping. I will be watching that instead. And then also on Disney Plus sooner, starting August 11th is the Uno Momento. My headphones need to be plugged in. The batteries are dying.
Uh-oh.
They're yelling at me, going, battery low. This is what wireless headphones, they're great, but they do need to be charged every now and then. But thankfully, I can also run them via cable if I can get the USB to plug in. Oh, hold on. USB. You can never get it go right on the first try.
It goes wrong, 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 right.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the whole music.
Do. This is the whole music.
Having issues.
So, Holly, how about them Bucks?
Woohoo! Yes.
I will go ahead and say, I mean, after years of the NBA being Golden State,
I should have just had these plugged in when I started.
It's kind of nice having a couple of, flyover land teams duking it out. It feels like a hockey season.
There we go.
Considering it's been since 1974 that they've been in the finals, it's just like, yay!
Oh, wow.
Like, I don't even care who wins. It's the fact that there's teams in the NBA that don't involve LeBron in the finals for once. Like, holy cow!
Yes.
Maybe we can. Maybe they can finally get away from the sideshow while we wait for Rachel to get.
The deer. I'll leave it at that. Then fear the sun too, depending on which Bucks team shows up sometimes.
Well, I'm fearing the sun but for a completely different reason.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get burned either way.
White, yes, but no, it's kind of nice. That's all I'm saying.
Yep. Yay, sports ball.
Yay.
I'm not sure. FYI, Leverage Redemption, so far so good. I'm
excellent.
Making my way slowly through the episodes.
I haven't gotten to sit down and watch it yet. I got the electric app on our Roku TV. Alex got mad at me when I tried to watch it. He was like pointing at Disney Plus. It's like, no.
Yeah,
he wanted to watch Toy Story.
FYI, the Redemption is on IMDb TV.
Ah, okay. Because
repeats the original 5 seasons of Leverage are on the Electric Now app.
Okay, maybe that's. But because I swear I saw Noah Wiley in one of them, but that's okay.
Yeah, because the Electric Now, they're doing an after show. They're doing one episode a week, so they do like an after show for each episode, but instead of dropping them all at once, they're taking episode 1, which they did last week, and then they'll do episode 2 next week. So good content.
What the heck is my computer doing?
I don't know, dear girl.
I don't know. Well,
You
I
tell
see.
us.
I don't know. It's doing something, but it doesn't seem to be really affecting anything now.
Hopefully.
Oh boy.
So we'll just roll with that. So anyway, sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know what it's doing. It's being very weird. It's never done this before. Anyway, okay. And I don't even have Mother Nature to blame it on, so.
Oh, I have Mother Nature. You can use my. I don't know. Thor's visiting me, so I don't know.
You know those vortex feeds,
Right.
Yeah. I guess so. Anyway, where was
I? You're about to talk about the new Disney Marvel.
Oh,
thing,
yes.
I think.
Yes.
trailers that dropped.
Yes. Oh my goodness. It's been a weekend. Okay. And things are still happening. But anyway. Yeah, so Marvel, we've been waiting for this.
Yes.
What If, which is going to be the animated series part of the MCU, where it's going to be an anthology. So each episode is going to be a self-contained story. So it's not going to be like a whole through line, other than the idea is, what if one thing changed? How would the stories that we already know come out differently? So there's going to be 10 episodes this season. They've already confirmed we're getting a second season at some point. Really less next year, I guess. But there's obviously with the episodes we'll get more detail, but I think the most recognizable is one that actually is a storyline that came straight from the comics, where Peggy Carter goes through the super soldier program instead of Steve Rogers and becomes Captain Britain or Captain Carter. I think she's going to call herself Captain Carter in this, but I think she was called Captain Britain in the comics. So we see Peggy running around all buff with a shield, kicking ass, taking names, that sort of thing. We get Marvel zombies.
Yeah.
Like zombie
we
Iron
get a
Man,
brief glimpse
zombie
of that
Captain
in the trailer.
America. So, Howard the Duck is going to be involved in one of these, because he's in the trailer.
That's going to be interesting.
And we see Tony Stark get saved from his own bomb.
Yes. So what would happen if Tony Stark did not get blown up and have all that shrapnel happen in Afghanistan, but instead he's saved by Killmonger.
Yes. Surprise.
That's.
I think that's going to screw up a couple things.
Yep.
Just one or two.
Yep. So for the most part, everyone is coming back to do the voices. So we've got Haley Atwell, Josh Brolin as Thanos, Dominic Cooper's Howard Stark, Karen Gillan's gonna be back as Nebula, Tom Hiddleston's gonna be doing Loki, Chris Hemsworth's gonna be Thor, Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, a couple of others, Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, Doctor Strange, are all going to be different actors than their MCU counterparts. And there's a bunch of characters that we don't know yet. We know the characters are going to appear, but we don't know who yet is going to voice them.
Now,
Seth Green is voicing Howard the Duck.
Nice. Now, did Chadwick Boseman do most of the voicing for Black Panther, for T'Challa?
Yes.
Oh, good. I couldn't remember because I thought I had seen somewhere that that was one of his final.
It is his final.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's bittersweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This all this stuff had been the voice acting had been done quite a while ago.
Okay.
Yeah, this was supposed to have come out before now.
Yeah.
which, you know.
Yeah, because this was announced back in like 2019. At like the last, something or other. Like the last Disney shareholder meeting or something. So it should be interesting. It looks like it's going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of, kind of like what we've had with the Loki series, a lot of alternative versions of characters for all the cosplayers out there. So.
Though one of them, I'm thinking you better not cosplay, or there's going to be some issues at the cons.
Yeah.
We're talking something green, and I'm not talking Hulk.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. So it should be.
Find out in a couple of weeks, then you'll know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, but. Yeah, it should be fun. I'm interested to see the people who can pull off a zombie Marvel character.
Yeah.
So I love what ifs and like paradoxes and all that kind of stuff. So I like seeing what tiny little choices can change and just see how it all affects everything. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, but the Captain Carter is the first one, so we're gonna get that one right off the bat on August 11th when that debuts, and then we'll get new episodes each Wednesday because apparently Loki has set the trend that now Wednesdays, forget wearing pink, we watch Marvel.
Yeah, looks like Wednesday is kind of is the day.
Yep.
Oh. I'm excited for that.
Me too.
Yep. So
almost Loki, which is bittersweet.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have a bit of a gap in between the end of Loki and this, but that'll just give me time to watch the McCartney series on Hulu over and over.
You got time.
Yep. Yeah. So, and then real quick, a little bit of housekeeping. Latest episode of Gold Standard is in the feeds where we talk about the Best Picture of 1955, which is Marty, starring Ernest Borgnine. I'll leave it at that.
It is so funny. Like, these movies are supposed to, they won the award. They were the best of that year. A lot of these I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
Same.
I haven't heard of them until they come up on the Gold Standard feed, and I'm like, oh, let's see what this is about.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know if that says something, but it might.
Yeah. Yeah, it just goes to show that just because, you get the big award doesn't necessarily mean you're going to stand the test of time.
This is true.
So there you go. But you can go and listen to that. And you still have time to get on Patreon before we record this month's Patreon episode this coming weekend.
Hint, nudge, nudge,
hint,
wink, wink.
Yeah, with a certain special guest. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yes.
Gee, I wonder.
Yeah.
Things are getting dusted off. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully, no, we aren't turning this into drunk. We aren't turning this into drunk Golden Standard. Do it.
No.
Oh my.
So, anyways, so that's a bit of news. We don't have any feedback, other than a few. whoever runs whoever's running the social media for In Conjunction did comment on our Facebook post about last week's episode saying thank you for the shout out. So you're welcome.
Anytime, folks.
And Melissa did say that hopefully next year, since she won't be con chair, that she might actually be able to stop and chat for more than 2 seconds. So here's hoping.
Cross your fingers.
Yay. So speaking of conventions, there's that for a segue.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Boy, are my entire body tired. I would say my feet are tired, but honestly, my feet are like the least of my concern. In Conjunction was nice. It was a good first dip back into the con pool because it is so small and chill. It's fairly safe contained, in the hotel, which in itself is not very large to begin with. So unless you're the con chair like Melissa and you walk 25 miles in one weekend, you're not necessarily at the end of the weekend, you're going to be like, that wasn't bad, as far as physical exertion is considered, at least in my case. I guess if I had like a big booth that needed to be put up and then taken down, then might be a bit more tired, but still, everything's carpeted, nice cushy seats, that sort of thing. PopCon, on the other hand, as much as I love PopCon, I seriously forgot just how exhausting 3 days of walking and standing on concrete is. Even when you have a chair to sit in every now and then, concrete floors just really, really suck.
Yeah.
The amount of comfy shoe cushions going to help with concrete.
Yeah. There's only so much comfortable shoes can do.
Mm-hmm.
Oof.
So I already have ideas for how to combat that next year.
Never too early to start planning.
Yeah.
A segue?
Yeah. If they allow me to have one. But so PopCon, this is the first in-person PopCon. We had virtual PopCon last year, so the last physical at the convention center PopCon was June of 2019. So it's been more than 2 years. It's been 25 months since the last in-person PopCon. This was scaled down. Part of that was to keep their overhead down, just because they did not know what kind of turnout they were going to get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, we're back. We're going to blow all of our money. That would be bad. So they scaled things down as far as the overall footprint at the convention center. They utilized one of the halls, the larger halls for the vendor area and all this, all the celebrities, typical convention floor layout that you've seen at most conventions of that size, that utilize a convention center type space. And just 3 or 4 of like the ballroom, not even ballroom, more like conference rooms, the larger conference rooms for panels and stuff, instead, because usually like the main panel where you have like your celebrity Q&As and like cosplay contest tends to be in a similar hall like the vendor hall is, the big concrete rooms, but they didn't do that because renting 2 of those spaces would have been way more expensive. Plus, I think that there's just still, they put a cap on the number of tickets sold so that they knew that they could, I mean, the room they used for the main like stage still could hold like 500 people. So that's still a pretty decent size. But the convention center right now is still, and this will probably, and right now this is going to be the case for Gen Con too, is they are not allowing any late night or overnight events. The convention center has to be emptied, and they're physically locking the doors so that overnight crew can be in there sanitizing and cleaning and stuff. So like usually there would be like 24-hour gaming even for like PopCon folks, and there was a room that was hosting laser tag, and they probably would have done that late into the night too, for the night owls. But they can't do that because the convention center is like, no, at midnight, everybody out. We're literally locking the doors, and you cannot get back in until like 7:30 the next morning or something like that. So that's also going to be the case for Gen Con. So keep that in mind. But I'm not usually one to participate in a lot of the late night stuff anyway, so to me it wasn't a huge loss. But I know for some people, I saw in the Facebook group that people are like, are there going to be any after hours events? And there were at some of the restaurants / bars in the area, but nothing at the convention center. So I think a few people were kind of disappointed in that, but it is what it is. The convention center, they say jump, you say how high. You're just renting the space. You're not in charge.
So I mean that they dictate the terms, and you abide. This close still to the end of the pandemic. I mean, there's still some concern. So I can understand that. Yeah, and especially where last year, I mean, it's not just the convention center. I mean, the con is probably still dealing with the loss of revenue from last year. And, I mean, it takes money to run these things, guys. So
yes, it does.
Hopefully, I mean, next year they'll be able to do more of it. Do more of the stuff that you're used to. Yeah. So that is the hope. So let's ease into this and go from there.
Yeah. So that being said, what did happen was a lot of fun. I as tired as I am, it's a good tired. Other than my lower back screaming at me, but
Then you tell it to shut up, and you look at all the cool art and stuff that you bought.
Exactly.
Or whatever it is.
You look at the pictures and be like, oh, those are fun memories. I'm so glad that the back pain will ease eventually, but the memories last forever. Hopefully
it
not
is
the other
temporary.
Exactly. I hope so. So Friday was actually fairly short because being press / VIP, we could get into the vendor hall a half an hour before the general public. So that was good. I went and got my badge. They were having trouble getting my QR code to scan. So the guy was all like, here, he just ended up giving, because I had the VIP badges and the press badges. And he just gave me a VIP badge instead. He's like, it's essentially the same thing. And I think this is something I'm going to bring up to them too. Because it's really been the case every year, other than the first year of PopCon, before we hadn't launched yet. So it's like I couldn't apply for a press badge. So I paid then, but pretty much every year since, I've been fortunate enough to be able to go with a press badge. So I'm not paying for a ticket, but Lord knows I spend enough money at the vendor hall, and I did again this year. The money I'm saving on ticket, I'm spending at the con. So it's win-win for everybody, except for my wallet, but that's okay. But usually whatever perks VIP get, the press, like your early entry into the vendor hall, that sort of thing, the press also get too. And I almost think it would be easier for the press, because I know they print the badges, the different badges, unless you were doing a single day. In that case, you just got a paper wristband. But like the staff, crew, guests, vendors, press, VIP, and 3-day entry all had the, your traditional plastic badge on a lanyard. But I almost think it would be easier for press to just go ahead and give us a VIP badge with maybe like an additional sticker or something. So that way, like if we go to talk to somebody, we still look like we're not just a guest, like an attendee, but like, look, it'll give you the perks of like getting into the vendor hall early with all the, all the other people who pay for VIP. But then when you go to like talk to somebody, they can be like, oh, you're a member of the press as well.
Yeah. You're not just some rando who's like, hey, by the way, I want to talk to.
Let me stick my microphone in your face, and you're gonna be like, what?
Like, who is this weirdo security?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know if that would be better, worse, indifferent as far as like printing. It's like, oh, with stickers, how easy would it be for someone to peel it off? And, I don't know, but just a thought that I think
something a little extra.
Yeah, maybe something a little something. So I'm assuming that a post-convention like survey is going to come via email at some point, so I will probably put that in there. But if anybody's got any ideas, if they've seen like interesting ways at other conventions they've done something like that, let me know, because I'm at a loss other than like sticker. So because that's my brain.
Or they had some kind of technology with a barcode.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. So
just
spitballing.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I think a sticker is probably going to be the best bet. There are certain kinds of stickers you can get that are really, really sticky and are hard to peel off. I know this because we use tons of stickers at the library, and some will just peel off, and some you're like digging at and trying to get off.
Or like if you peel them off, like it distorts the image on the sticker. Because I don't know if this is the case everywhere else, but I know with our license plates. The year sticker that you get every year when you renew your license plate, once you stick that on your license plate, if you try to peel that off, it's designed so that it distorts it, so that if you tried to restick it, it would be useless. As far as the image is concerned. So I have an idea. But anyway, so Friday, fairly laid back, went with my stuff, once again sharing a booth with the communal creative zombie / podcast indie group booth, with my, did I talk about my wagon when I talked about it in conjunction last week?
Don't think so.
Okay, so this is what being an adult is like, kids. So when you're a kid and you have like birthdays and Christmas coming up, and people are like, oh, what do you want for your birthday or Christmas? And you're like, I want Legos or an action figure or whatever. When you become an adult and you have, this is my last birthday, you get things like this green foldable wagon. Because your in-laws have one, and you've mentioned several times that, oh, that looks so convenient and useful. I would love to have something like that. So that finally, when your birthday rolls around, that's what you get.
Yay! And let me guess, it worked wonders, right?
It does! I got it for my birthday, and it's been sitting in my house in the box waiting to be used because it still wasn't really going anywhere. And then finally I was like getting ready for in conjunction, and I pulled that sucker out, and I would say assemble it, but it didn't need assembling because it just right out of the box, you just unfold it and it flattens out in this nice big, really like heavy canvas with these wheels and this handle that collapses and telescopes like on a piece of luggage.
Nice.
And I loaded everything I needed for my table at In Conjunction in it, and was just able to grab the handle and walk out the door and go to the elevator and go down to my car and go and, pop everything in the car. And I'm like, this is so nice. Because before I've been using like a small piece of carry-on luggage, but then I also have like a backpack and this, that, and the other thing that didn't quite, that doesn't fit in the luggage. So yeah.
It is so nice when you can wheel your stuff in and out.
Yes, it is.
Of the building. I've done this with library outreach when we go and do events at other places, and we have these little, each branch has a little rolly box. It's like a crate with wheels on it, and you just pull it out, you pack it up, pull it out, go up, do your thing, pack it back up, pull it back out and into the car, and it's lovely. So yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna have. I'm pretty sure that, because this is where my in-laws got theirs. It's from Menards, and I believe they got me the exact same one. I will put a link to it in the show notes. So if anybody wants one,
if anybody is gonna be doing like tables and stuff at a con,
yeah,
this has got the 5-ish stamp of approval.
Yeah, it even has like these little mesh cup holders on the outside,
nice,
which I haven't used yet, but still, I was like,
stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going in somewhere and you like stop and get a drink at a food truck or Starbucks or whatever on the way in, and you don't want your drink to spill.
Exactly. So, but anyway, so I use this thing for In Conjunction, and I even took a picture of like it full of stuff as I'm going to the elevator at my apartment building to send to my mother-in-law, like taking the wagon out for his first run. So I was so happy with that it was when In Conjunction was over and I came home and I essentially just parked it, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, this isn't going to be put away because I'm just going to be using it again for PopCon. So the same thing, it had switched out some things, but once again, loaded up, got to the convention center, and at the convention center I park in the parking lot that's like half a block, maybe a full city block, 3/4 of a city block behind. It's technically part of the convention center, this parking lot, and it's on the back side, so it's like parking lot, the loading like docks where like semi trucks and other people would bring their stuff to unload, and then you go around the corner and there's the west side entrance that faces Victory Field, because that's the end of the convention. That's the old convention center, the old end, which is which PopCon was using this year. Although I could still get to the new part if I went out of the parking lot the other way towards Lucas Oil Stadium. There's an entrance there. So it's a very convenient parking lot. You can get to either end of the convention center fairly easily. But yeah, so I get there, park, unload my wagon, I'm like, so I get there, there's nobody at our booth. There's stuff there, but I'm like, nobody's at the booth. So I sent Brandon a message and I'm like, where is everybody? It's like, obviously somebody's been here because there's other stuff here. And they're like, podcast stage emergency. I'm like, okay, well, that figures. Because Brad Shoemaker, who owns and runs Creative Zombie and also is kind of our leader of the Podcast Indie group, is also part of the PopCon staff, and he's also like the webmaster, so it does like a lot of the back end stuff for the website, but then he's also pseudo in charge of the live podcasting when we offer it at PopCon, because he's got equipment that he can offer use of, and apparently there were issues with they didn't realize that the space, because the space that we normally use when PopCon is on that end is near the Maryland Street exit, which leads to one of the Marriotts, and there's a small food court there, but it's got like this seating area. It's got this like great big window that's a good place to set up a long table, and set up like the mixer and the microphones and everything. Yeah, that's all under construction.
Oh,
There are curtains put up, literally people in there like banging noises and like saws and things happening.
Oh boy.
And they did not know that until they got there. So like, crap, well, we need to find a new location, and all the rooms that PopCon is using are already spoken for other events in the schedule. So they had to figure out a makeshift new location. So they were dealing with that when I showed up. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just set up my stuff kind of, and then we can rearrange once everybody else gets their stuff set up here. And the convention started for like the general public at 2 in the afternoon. So that's late in the day ish. And we just kind of hung out once everything started. Chit-chatted and have people come by the table and pass out business cards. They had a bowl of candy, which every child that walks by is like, you see their eyes get just a little bigger, like, ooh, candy. Then they're looking at like their parents, like, because they don't want to ask if they have candy. They just look at the bowl and then look at their mom and be like, "You get what I'm saying? Saying, Mom? Huh? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge." So yeah, I didn't really do much Friday other than show up, set up my stuff, hang out. But it was the return of booth mom. And being the booth mom that I am, I wanted to make sure that my booth children were well taken care of. So I did come bearing supplies, including a box of Kleenex, some paper towels, a bottle of hand sanitizer, extra strength Tylenol.
Thank goodness for that little wagon.
Yeah, and an array of snacks. Chips, those mass-produced donuts covered in the chocolate that you end up getting all over your face and hands, no matter how hard you try. Mostly junk food, but stuff that would keep the weekend without needing refrigeration and that sort of thing. So yeah, because you get a little peckish sometimes. You're like, I just need a little snack, and I'm like, well, I got salty, I got sweet, I got savory.
Take your pick.
Here you go. Booth mom supplies. So, and we did partake of said snacks quite a bit over the weekend. So
good.
Mission accomplished. And the hand sanitizer, and the Kleenex, and the paper towels. So, because those chocolate donuts get everywhere. Yeah. So that was Friday. It was winding down towards it because I think we went till 7 on Friday. As far as like the vendor hall was concerned. And at one point Brad was like, "We're all going to karaoke," and I just looked at him like, "You can go to karaoke. I'm going home."
You heard that.
They're all talking about going over to the Slippery Noodle for karaoke, and I'm like, no, my happy butt is going home. Thank you very much. So yeah, so Wednesday is 7 o'clock, and they're like, the vendor hall is now closed. I'm like, see y'all in the morning. Have fun. Try not to drink too much. I have the extra strength Tylenol if you need it. So Saturday was the long day. Saturday was also my cosplay day. Because that tends to be the highest traffic day. So it's like, my best exposure. That's when most cosplayers show up. Is on Saturday. Even if most people, if they're going to come one day, if they can only make it the one day, it's usually Saturday, because that tends to be the full day. That's usually the cosplay contest day. That you can almost guarantee all of the celebrities are there on Saturday, because there were a couple that were only Saturday, Sunday only. So they would have shown up Friday night, which Brad was part of the crew also. On top of everything else, Brad was also part of the hand-selected crew that got to go and pick up people from the airports as the celebrities arrived. Apparently he picked up, I think it was CJ Ramon Thursday night, And he arrived so late and was hungry, and there was nothing open, and they ended up having to go to White Castle. So Brad could say he got to take CJ Ramon to White Castle in the middle of the night. Poor Brad. He's already realized he needs to ask for help going into next year, and I'm like, I'll volunteer, I'll help. I will gladly help ease some of your burden for something. I don't know what I can help with, but I'm sure you can find something.
If these celebrities need pickup, I'm doing it.
Yeah,
I got dibs.
Yeah, Brad even said, because after the podcast awards, which I'll get to because those were on Sunday, and Brad was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry that the podcast awards aren't as flashy as they could have been, but and some things fell through the cracks, but they wanted reliable people to do the celebrity pickup, so they rented Jeeps. So anytime you put someone on a rental, there's already like the, don't scratch it, don't don't spill, don't eat in it, don't drink in it. It needs to be as immaculate going back to the rental company as it does when you got it.
Basically the Millennium Falcon.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So they wanted really reliable people to do the driving so that they knew that both the vehicles and the celebrities were in safe hands. Completely understandable. But as Brad said, unfortunately, those very reliable people, since they were busy driving the celebrities, were not on hand at the convention center to do their jobs that they're very reliable at. Oh dear. Oops. Yep. So they're gonna have to figure that out. I can't help with that, but it makes sense. So Brad was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, but he lived. So in fact, I saw him as I was leaving. I pulled out of the parking lot Sunday, and after everything was over, got all my stuff, loaded my car, and was leaving. And that street's only one-way street right there, so I had to go up where I could make a U-turn, and it happens to be right by the loading dock, which is also where they were picking up the celebrities. And I happened to see Brad as he was getting ready to pull out of the loading dock area in one of the rentals, and I'm pretty sure it was Jim O'Hare that was sitting in the passenger seat next to him. So, oh boy, there he goes again off to the airport. But anyway, back to Saturday. So Saturday was my cosplay day to make things easy, because I know it still fits because I wore it the weekend prior. I decided to wear my Time Buster again. And so I got up Saturday morning, got dressed as usual, putting on all the stuff I wear underneath the jumpsuit, pulling on the jumpsuit, putting on my shoes, getting all my stuff together, grab the polarity pack and my wallets and car keys and stuff, and I'm literally getting ready to go out the door when the damned tube from hell, that stupid piece of conduit tubing that runs from the pack that's connected to the wand, which is the most god-awful piece of plastic on the entire planet because it's got a mind of its own. It's like the lion's tail in the Wizard of Oz, where it just goes wherever it wants. It goes up like Dorothy's skirt and stuff. This piece of conduit is the exact same way. It got caught on a door handle.
Ooh.
And usually that's not an issue. It'll get caught, usually, depending on whether I catch it or quickly in and off. The wand will pop out because it's got this piece of plastic peg, and it goes into a hole, and that's how it's attached to the pack. So the wand will pop out of its holder. I'll pick it up. I have to take the pack off to be able to pop it back in place because it's not something you to do unless you're made out of rubber. And so it caught, I see falling out of the corner of my eye. I look. There's the conduit, but no wand. The wand is still attached to the pack. It broke.
Oh no!
It snapped. There was a small piece of plastic from the wand still attached to the end of the conduit with wires sticking out. Because not only did it completely broke the plastic, but it also snapped the wiring in place because this thing is wired for sound, special effects, which I don't bother with right now, because I plan on hopefully eventually maybe rewiring it so that I get more Doctor Who-y sounds and less Ghostbuster-y sounds, or maybe a combination of both out of it. But yeah, so I'm like, well, crap. So looking around at all of Chauncey's, he's got all sorts of tools and stuff here. He's got rolls of wire, and I was like, surely he's got some super glue or something.
Something.
Yeah, it's like 9 a.m. He's still asleep because it's Saturday. He doesn't need to be up. I've already been up since like 7:30. And I'm like, I can't, there's like nothing. There's nothing. I was like, should a rubber band, would that work? And then finally I settled on it's not duct tape. It's technically duct tape though. It's aluminum tape. So it's what you would use on duct
for the duct work and the pipes.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I cut off a piece of that and did this weird Band-Aid type of fix to try and tape it together enough. And I was like, okay, that's just going to have to hold for now until I can get to the convention center, because I was like, well, I can't, there's no glue. So I'm going to have to deal with this tape. I know this tape is not going to be, this is a temporary fix. I was like, it just so happens that James Wolfgar of Wolfgar Weapons and Props had a booth at PopCon this weekend. And I happen to know James and some of his crew. So I was like, if this will hold till I can get to the convention center, I'm pretty sure that Wolfgar will have something a bit more robust to fix this. So I do my Band-Aid fix, hop in the car, get to the convention center, park the car, get out, I go ahead and put the pack on because that's the easiest way to carry it. And I'm walking from the car down that, half a block to the convention, to the doors, and the entire time I'm just walking like a normal person, but the entire time I can hear the tape crackling.
Oh no!
Because of just my body movements. I can just, I'm like, this tape is gonna let go.
To paraphrase a certain space pilot, baby, please hold together. Baby,
yeah, exactly.
Please hold together.
Exactly. I'm like, this is not gonna hold. This is not gonna hold. It's gonna let go. It's gonna let go. I get to the west side entrance. I go up the stairs. I get through the door. At this point, it's already after the time that VIPs can get in. All the regular badge people are waiting in line. I'm literally walking in through the door into the vendor hall when that tape lets go.
Oh no!
And one of the guys manning the door is like, here you go. He bends down and hands me, because once again, conduit on the floor. He's like, here you go. And I'm like, thanks. So, I
conduit.
Yeah. So I make a beeline for our booth, which is in the 700 row, because it's just the easiest way. I'm sure most conventions are like this, where they just do rows and they have numbers, and then each booth has its own number. So if you're like, booth 731 is where I was, so you can go to where the sign says row 700 and just go until you get to 731.
It's like finding an address.
Exactly. So I tail it over to our table to dump the stuff that I don't need. that's weighing me down.
Hi guys.
Yeah, exactly. There wasn't even anybody there. I think there was another podcast stage fire that had to be put out that morning. But yeah, so I dumped my stuff and then hightail it over to Wolfgar, who's over in the 200s, so 5 rows over and up towards the front. And I, get over there and I see James and he's talking to someone. And at this point, I have the pack off. I'm holding it in my hands. I have like the pack in one hand, the conduit with the piece with part of the tape is still attached in the other. And I walk up, I'm like, I'm having a cosplay emergency. Can you help me?
You're like, help.
Yeah. I'm the only one can help me. You're my only hope.
Kind of the Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots look like.
Thankfully I didn't have to resort to that. He was like, absolutely. He's like, grabs one of the other guys. He's like, grab the super glue. So one of his other guys just took it from me, took the super glue, and he's like, you're lucky the way this broke. You've got good surface area, so I can put a lot of glue on here. So they were able to it broke in a way that it was easy enough to get the 2 pieces together.
Okay.
There's a little bit of plastic missing. You can see in my after glue picture, you can kind of see where the conduit goes, and there's like black, and then it starts to turn gray where I painted it to look like the sonic screwdriver. You can kind of see there's a bit of black missing there. So I don't know where that piece of plastic went. Doesn't matter. But there was still enough there that they were able to super glue it. And so he glued it, let it sit for a few minutes, add a little bit more, does his thing. Because, these guys do, like, movie quality, like, props and stuff. Like, their stuff has been used in movies. So these guys know their way around, glue and paint and that sort of thing. And yeah, he was like, yeah, this is like the best glue we have. So he gets it together. He's like, let this sit for like another 5 minutes and you'll probably be fine at least for the rest of the day. And I'm like, great. So I go back and I was like, 5 minutes. I haven't had breakfast yet. So it's going to get more than 5 minutes while I sit down and eat my breakfast. So the time I got and sat down and ate, from the time they'd added the glue, it got like 30 minutes to set. And
Perfect.
So, yeah, and at that point I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna see how this goes. So I pop the pack on and go out and start wandering, and because I hadn't really had a chance to walk the vendor hall to talk to people and like go find people I know that I knew were vendoring there. I posted on Instagram already a huge thank you, but I will say thank you again. And I saw James a couple of times even throughout the day and said thank you even then, but it held the rest of the day. So a huge thank you to James Wolfgar and his crew for jumping in when I came. Like, help me, it broke. So long term, it may still hold, actually. This is, like I said, this is stuff they use for for movie grade stuff that needs to hold up. So odds are it will likely hold. But that just means that those upgrades that I wanted to do to it have now moved up the list, the priority list. But that was not the way I wanted to start.
No,
that's not a good way.
It's a cosplay thing, unfortunately. Stuff breaks, stuff.
It does. And if you're ever cosplaying at a con, most cons will have some kind of cosplay repair booth or something. Make sure you know where that is located. I've had to make use of the ones at FanX several times.
I don't think that PopCon necessarily had a designated one, but we did have a couple of professional cosplayers there as guests, so they may have had stuff on them, because I'm sure that's stuff that, you know, like, I don't travel out of state with all my cosplays and guested events without stuff on hand for repairs. So I probably could have gone to one of them, and they may have had something that could have helped.
Or I know
But,
like local theater groups have been like, hey, costume emergency, come here, cosplay emergency, come here and we'll help you out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep. But if you know anyone who vends at things like that, it is some, you know, that's a company that like makes things and manufactures things, they might be able to help you too with it. In this case, I was just very fortunate that, you know, I had a literal prop maker there vending, and I happened to know them. So, although I think even if I didn't know them, I'm sure they probably would help, because, you know, you never want to leave a cosplayer stranded if you can help it. But
yeah, no, they're people like that are just, they're great.
Yep. So, huge thank you to Wolfgar, and your people. So go check out their stuff. I will have a link to their website in the show notes. So the rest of the day, or at least the rest of the morning going into lunchtime and early afternoon, was spent of a combination of me wandering the floor, and catching up with people. I stopped by Jess, who owns and runs Bath Omens. She makes soap and bath bombs and bath melts and things like that. And I bought 5 bars of soap from her. So, because I was running out. Her stuff is so good. So I stocked up from her. She was in conjunction last weekend, but she didn't have any soap really on her. It was pretty much her bath bombs. But she had a bigger space here, so I even tweeted her. I'm like, "Will you have soap?" And she's like, "Yes, I will." I'm like, "Yay!" So I stocked up from soap from Jess, and you can buy her stuff on her Etsy shop. So I'll have that link in the show notes. And if you're local, right now the summer, Saturday morning, she's at the Danville Farmers Market, so you can buy directly from her if you're in the Indianapolis area. That. I love Jess. She's awesome. She's a huge nerd as well. So that was my first purchase of the weekend. And then I stopped by the Circle City Ghostbusters and chatted with them. And we compared we compared packs. So they liked my twist on things. So that was fun, because I had not seen, they had not been to anything since the last PopCon, and I did not have that cosplay yet because I didn't finish it until Gen Con, the last Gen Con. And they aren't usually at that because they pay for pretty much everything out of pocket. So, and Gen Con's booth costs are a bit expensive, even for a small charity group like them. So, but it was fun to see them and get the once again get the looks from people, and they're like, "Oh, nice Ghostbuster," and then they actually take in like the details, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you're not a Ghostbuster."
But you are, but you're not. What
I am, but think of it as if the Ghostbusters decided to expand off of planet Earth, or if the Doctor joined the Ghostbusters. However you want to look at it, whichever fandom you want to run with. I did have lots of several people they're like, oh, I love that. And especially the pack. I had several people stop me and ask, like, how did you do that? So that was fun. And then I would man the booth when like Brandon had to run off to he did his show, his recording at the podcast stage Saturday afternoon. So I watched the booth while he was doing that. And then I think I think pretty much all of us abandoned the booth right before 4:00 because at 4:00 was Twisted Toonz. And every time I talk to somebody this entire weekend, they're like, oh, you doing anything with your podcast? And I'm like, no, I left this wide open because I want to make sure that I get in for Twisted Toonz. This is the 3rd year that they're doing it at the show. Yeah, it was like the last 2 times I've missed it. Well, 1 year, I think the last year they did it, which would have been, I don't think the last PopCon, maybe the PopCon before that. I don't remember. I missed it completely. And then the first year they did it, I caught the very end of it, which really was the best part because they were doing the Princess Bride, and the last scene they did was the Battle of Wits. Nice. So I was like, oh, if this is the only part I'm gonna catch, I caught the best part. But this time I'm like, dagnabbit, I want to see the entire thing. And apparently everybody else did because the line went from the room all the way down the hall.
Wow.
Now, was this in what kind of? Well, I guess you guys said you didn't have like a ballroom or something like.
This was like a large conference.
Okay.
Presentation room. This is the one that's supposed to hold like 500 people. And when I got there, they had just done a head count of the line, and the person was like 170 something. So, they still were going to have room. Thankfully, though, I had a VIP badge. We get in the room before everybody else.
Sweet.
So once the previous celebrity panel got out and they cleared the room, VIPs got to go in first. So I was middle second row.
Nice.
Right next to Carl's parents, actually. So they got to be my neighbors the entire time. Carl's like, these are my parents. Be nice to them.
And you're like, when have I never been nice?
Yeah, well, even Carl said to his parents, was like, this is Rachel. She's cool. So thank you, Carl. I was like, thank you for that vote of confidence. And his parents were very nice. So no complaints there. So, but yeah, so that was really nice that I was able to finally get in. So I was like, this is awesome. I'm right here. They put the Twisted Toonz official banner. They set it out and attached it to the front of the table because it's an official thing. Twisted Toonz. So they put that up, once the room got full, which I'm pretty sure it was full, if not very close to it. I was too entranced. It never occurred to me to like look around and see how full it actually got. I was just like, I'm actually here to get to see this. So yeah, once everybody got seated, they got the banner put up, make sure all the microphones are going. So for the next 90 minutes, I got to be entertained by Jim Cummings, aka Winnie the Pooh, Darkwing Duck,
Plus,
among other things.
Oh my gosh, so many other things.
Yes, Rob Paulson.
Oh boy.
Animaniacs, Pinky.
Yakko, yes.
Yeah. Billy West. So Fry from Futurama, Ren and Stimpy, Doug.
Oh, that's right.
Among others, and Maurice LaMarche, who is the brain to Rob's Pinky, again, among other things. So those 4 I got to watch do Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing! Oh my god.
Are we talking Gene Wilder version, or are we talking
Oh
Johnny
yes, no,
Depp version?
it was the Gene Wilder version.
Okay.
Yeah. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, not that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. I thought they were both named the same.
No, they're different.
Okay.
So, oh my god, it was so good. It was just so
I
told you. I knew, like, in my mind, I knew that this was an amazing thing, but I never really got to experience the whole thing, just like,
yeah, you can sit here and be like, oh yeah, and they did this and they did this, but until you like sit down and get to watch it in person, you can't describe it.
Yeah, you can't. I don't know.
I mean, you can look up even like YouTube videos of it, because they do post clips of their performance.
Yeah, I've seen clips on YouTube and Facebook.
Yeah, I mean, they filmed the entire thing. I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if that's going to go on like the Twisted Toonz YouTube channel, because that's not been updated for ages. But this was the first time that they have done it since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. This is the first performance of Twisted Toonz. So, it may go up on their YouTube channel at some point. PopCon has a YouTube channel as well, so it may go there. I have several clips. I posted a really short clip on Instagram. I do have several clips. So when I put together just kind of the overall convention video that will go up on our YouTube channel, I will put those in there so you can at least hear those. And I'm sure other people recorded it too. So I guess just check on YouTube and find some fan that may put a full thing up at some point. But oh my goodness, my face hurt from smiling and laughing like to the next day, because it was just it was so amazing. So and I mean, they had to do a lot of like having like a narrator cover a lot of stuff. But they were able to get in pretty much like all the major parts of the movie, the whole thing, in the 90 minutes. So, but yeah, and just, I mean, some of the cartoons, some of the voices I didn't get because I don't watch some of the stuff that they've done. Like, I never watched Futurama, so I didn't really get some of those, and I think there were a couple other cartoons that I don't watch, but like Jim Cummings as Winnie the Pooh doing Willy Wonka's rant at the end when Charlie and Uncle Joe are asking about the lifetime supply of chocolate, and he's like, you know, good day, sir, in the voice of Winnie the Pooh. It's just, you just can't. You just can't. Or Maurice in the scene when Violet eats the gum with the 3-course dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, tomato soup, and it's like, oh, roast beef and a baked potato and all of that. Maurice doing those lines as William Shatner. Like, roast beef and a baked potato.
Oh my goodness.
Here comes dessert. Blueberry pie with cream. I just can't. It was so good.
The funniest thing about this is, like, when they start a new scene and they say, and the guy says, okay, you do this voice as this character, you do this voice. That's that like you just laugh because you're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna do Willy Wonka as Winnie the Pooh, or or any of these other things. It's just like, it's just the anticipation of what is this gonna be like. It's delicious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and the guy that runs it, I don't know his name. The guy that seems to be, the person that kind of MCs the entire thing and decides, right there. Like, he's got lists of like all the voice actors and in what voices they are capable of. And you could just see like him just like chuckling to himself as like he's coming up with these combinations of, it's like, Rob as Pinky, as, Mike TV, So it was just, I loved it. It was so good. I can see
like,
why
whose
the
line
line
is it anyway, but
I can see why the line was as long as it was, because it is something to behold.
Yes. I mean, they fill up the main ballroom at FanX with that one. It is unreal.
Yeah. It was absolutely crazy. And I'm so glad I finally got into that. Although now I'm like, okay, now how do I make sure I can get in on this every year?
You get your butt to the front of the line ASAP.
Do not let that VIP pass expire.
Yeah, really. Really. So after that, by the time that ended, there was like a half an hour left in the vendor hall before it closed. So I ended up going back and decided on impulse. Some of these were impulse spends, but I decided to go ahead and go get an autograph and a photo with Maurice. That while I was still in my Time Buster gear, because he was the voice of Egon in the Ghostbuster cartoons.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So, and he was really nice. He asked me if I was part of the Circle City Ghostbuster. Apparently, he's like a huge supporter of like the Ghostbuster fan groups.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. So he asked if I was part of the Circle City Ghostbusters, and I'm like, no, but I did ask about joining, so we'll see. They seemed amendable to me joining the group with my version. So
nice.
Yeah, so he was very, very nice to meet. He is Canadian, so that might be part of it. And then the vendor hall closed at 6, so I had to kill some time before the cosplay contest at 7. But thankfully that was not hard to do, because at that point I needed to go to the restroom. And if you saw my post, while technically I can go to the bathroom without any assistance in the Time Buster outfit, it is a lot of work.
I can imagine.
Because I have to take all the accessories off, which that part is actually fairly easy. The pack, it's really light. It's easy enough to get off of. The waist pack that I have on is just, it's like a fanny pack, so it's just a clip. But like the gloves have to go off so I can wash my hands. But it's the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
It's comfortable once it's on. It's like wearing like a onesie without the feet. Nice deep pockets, that sort of thing. So it's comfy as hell on, but getting it off and then getting it back on again, I'm like, I'm glad nobody came into the bathroom that needed the handicap stall, because I ended up taking it, because all the other stalls are too small. Were too small, because I literally have to like shift. I'm doing like this thing with my shoulders, and I'm like waving my arm, trying to get the arm out of the sleeve, and I'm like turning in circles, looking like a dog chasing its own tail.
Like, get back over here. I know.
Yeah, because I'm like trying to get to the point where I can like grab the sleeve and pull it the rest of the way down, and then I can pull the other one down, but I'm like having to like almost dislocate my shoulders to get him out.
This is like, you wish you had another person to help you real quick.
Exactly. If I had another person, I could just be like, grab the sleeves and pull, But then I got to, like once I finish my business, then I got to put it back on. So that requires getting one sleeve getting one arm in the sleeve most of the way, and then getting it kind of up to the shoulder, and then twisting again to get it up over the shoulder. Because there's no give in the shoulder area, because that fabric is just, it's soft, but it just like there's no stretch. It just needs like a little bit of spandex or something, which the suit that I have, it's intended to be like somebody who works on cars, so it needs to hold up. It literally is like a mechanic's jumpsuit. So cosplay is not its intended purpose, but if somebody made like suits like this for cosplayers, they would probably use fabric that just has just a little bit of spandex in it, just a little bit of give. And that would make things a lot easier. But yeah, it's like, it's a good thing nobody can see me in this stall, because it's a whole dance contortion thing. So it's not easy, but it's the case for everybody. Even like the suit, the fight suits that like the Ghostbusters wear, they were all like the same way, and I'm like, yeah, as long as I don't have to go to the bathroom in a hurry. They're like, yeah, I know. Except for the one gal, she wears a dress. She's like, this is why I wear a dress first. I'm like, they need to do the same thing or something at some point. So by the time I went through all of that, it was about time to go line up to get in for the cosplay contest, because when I was going to the bathroom, they were still wrangling the contestants and get them all in one place so that they would be ready to go. So I was like, okay, I've got time. So once again, being VIP, get first crack. Actually, I didn't get first crack with the cosplay contest being VIP. There were VVIPs who were the sponsors of the cosplay contest and supplied the prizes, so they got to go first, which is totally understandable. But then us just regular VIPs got to go and get a seat, and then they let everybody else in. The cosplay contest, again, some very talented people, some pretty amazing costumes that I'm like, where were you all day? I didn't see you. Like, where have you been?
They were putting on their costumes.
Yeah, well, I know they did pre-judging, which saves a lot of time. So the contest is really just a chance for the contestants to show off to the crowd, and the sponsors to see what they're spending their money on, I guess. But the judges at this point already know who the winners are. But because it was in this like presentation hall, unlike normally where they would use like the raised stage that they use for also like the celebrity panels and stuff, unless you were close or very tall, you really couldn't see the entire cosplay, because everybody was floor level. But that's just the unfortunate having to make do with the spaces that we were, the con was able to use this year. But still, there were still some very impressive cosplays from my vantage point. Just some very, very talented people who showed up. and a lot of them I didn't get. I could still be impressed with the work. I didn't necessarily understand the character. It's very obvious with I mean, there's cosplays you always expect to see at most conventions of a decent size. You're always going to see like your Jokers, your Harley Quinns, your Deadpools, your Batmans, your Star Wars characters. There's some that you always expect. But you can also always count on the guests, the celebrity guests, influencing what type of cosplays you will see. Because a lot of people will want to meet said celebrity dressed up from whatever property that celebrity happens to be from. So in this case, a good chunk of the celebrity guests were anime voice actors. So there was there's usually a good amount of anime anyway, but this year an excessive amount of anime related cosplays, which I felt like an old woman all day, just like, so, these gaggles of kids would walk by with their brightly colored wigs that are, with pigtails out to, go into the next time zone, and, like school outfits or the volleyball outfits, because there's that one anime that apparently everybody plays volleyball.
Good old sports anime.
Yeah, sports anime is a thing.
Very much so.
All the these kids would walk by in these outfits, and like they look really good, but those of us at the table would just kind of look at each other and be like, anime? Question?
Which one?
Yeah,
just assume that it is, and you'll be good.
Yeah, we were all like, I feel like an old person. Like, I don't know what the kids are into these days, because that's what it felt like. So
in anime, manga, light novels, all those things, they're actually getting really. I mean, not that they haven't ever been popular, but it's kind of reaching a fever pitch these days. It's just a thing that
I mean, there were some that like I recognized just because I think they're mainstream enough. Like there were certain like the school uniform. There's a very specific one that I knew was like My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
And like I recognized some of the Dragon Ball Z and was it Naruto?
Naruto, Naruto's been around forever.
Yeah, like I recognize some of those. And I recognize the volleyball one. Even I recognize the uniform, but I have no idea what the anime is called, but I know it's the one where the kids play volleyball. So, but yeah, there were a lot of anime cosplays in the cosplay contest, and actually the gal that won best overall, I believe hers was from an anime. It looked like some sort of geisha, but it's inspired by some sort of anime or manga or something.
It's not Demon Slayer, is it?
No, I don't think so. There were some people from, I think there was one from Demon Slayer though. But yeah, it looks really good.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I don't get it, but it looks really good.
If you're gonna, wear that hair.
Yeah.
Seriously,
right?
it's insane.
Yeah.
But a good kind of insane.
Yeah. Yeah. But to me, I was just like, hey, whatever floats your boat. So just.
Yep.
I'm just gonna be like, good for you. Meanwhile, I'm over here in my jumpsuit melting because it's 5 million degrees. So, but anyway, yeah. So the cosplay contest, always fun. Even if I don't get it, I can appreciate it. Like, like I was saying last week, after participating in their contest in conjunction, and I was telling Chauncey this too. I was like, I've been on both sides of this as far as like cosplay contests are concerned. I've entered, I've been a judge, it's not easy either way, you know, because it's like, as a judge, you really want to, like, you know, there's this like, yeah.
You want to give it to everybody.
I wanted to give it to everybody because I was like, you took a big risk, you know, putting yourself. It's hard enough just dressing up and going out in public, even at a convention where you're going to be with like-minded people. There's still always going to be a part of you that's like, you know, are people going to think I'm weird because I'm wearing like pink hair, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, cosplay in general, it takes some guts to do. It takes even more guts to enter contests. So as a judge, I'm like, I just want to give you a prize just for having the guts to do this.
Right?
So you know, and there were a few times because of like the room layout and everything, the room was connected to like a loading dock area. So they had all the cosplayers wait there, and they would just come in, you know, walk the path in front of the audience, stop in front in the dead center where like the media cameras and the video cameras are set. Although there was a guy that was doing Steadicam, God bless him, because he would go over to where they would walk in, and then he would be walking backwards as they're coming, you know, along the aisle. And some people were just, apparently their gear was stuck in like 5th gear and we're going like 100 miles an hour, and this guy's walking backwards trying to maneuver, and this is not a straight line either, so he's like maneuvering around chairs, and I'm sure a bunch of wires on the floor. So how he did not bite it several times, I don't know. So give that guy a gold star. I'm sure it'll look really good though whenever the video goes up, presumably on YouTube. I believe he was one of the PopCon media people, and not like outside media. But there were several times where someone would, you know, they would announce them, they would come in, they would walk, you know, up, you know, along the front, get to the center where they're supposed to stop and pose, because this is the chance for, you know, like mom, dad to take pictures if they're there, that sort of thing, you know, to show off for all the other media, for the sponsors to see, and that sort of thing. But every now and then there would be someone that just, they would come up and just keep going, kind of like Princess Vespa in Spaceballs in the wedding, where they're like, you know, where she just walks up the aisle and then keeps going when she decides she doesn't want to marry the guy. It was kind of like that, and I could see like the reaction to some of the people taking pictures, like some of the media people. They would just be like, just look on their face like, why aren't you stopping? And I'm like, it's nerves. It not that they would hear me, but in my head I'm like, it's just nerves. It's like, it's one thing to think what it's like, but once the door opens and you have to walk out there in front of all those people, even logically, you know, in your head you're like, you know, this is okay, you know, I'm fine. This is not, you know, this, yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's like this, you know, I'm not being sent to like my execution or something, but just sometimes your brain is just like, I need to get out of here, I need to get out of here, I need to get out of here, and that's what they do. And it's not a conscious thing, I don't think, for most of them. It's just your body just kind of goes on autopilot, like, you know, danger, 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 danger.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just, it's that fight or flight thing.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, but again, you know, thumbs up to everybody who decided to participate anyway. So y'all rock. So, and then after that I went home because I was tired. I went home. I grabbed something to eat on the way home so that I could eat in the car, because I'm like, I am so hungry, I'm not going to make it home. So I was like driving home while eating, sandwich in one hand. Don't eat and drive, folks. It's not safe. But I was so hungry.
Wow.
So by the time I got home, I was like hopping in the shower, doing the night routine, and then just falling into bed like lather, rinse, repeat. So that Sunday I could turn around and get up and not put on cosplay, but put on regular clothes and comfy shoes. I put on my comfy shoes. They only helped so much, unfortunately. And got there again, early entry. Got to the table, and wandered again a little bit. I looked for some people that I thought were going to be there, but turned out weren't, which kind of sucks. But I also had to go and pick up one of my other vendor purchases because it wasn't ready by the time things shut down Saturday night. But I had a custom, I guess they're all custom, but I had a caricature done of myself in my Time Buster cosplay. So I had to go.
Caricature turned out awesome.
Oh my god, it is so cool. It's so cool. And the guy, the guy was like, it probably would have been ready last night, but I was like, I wanted to add the TARDIS to it. That's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and he added he got all the little details and everything. I've got like the kind of I don't know what they're called, like the earring with like the hugger cuff thing with the chain, like the 13th Doctor wears, and some of my patches and pins that are on the suit, and you put the little TARDIS in there, and the damn conduit tube from hell. It's even been immortalized in there. But he put a little speech bubble for me, and he's like, I didn't know. He's like, I thought of this, and I don't know if you thought of it. Who are you going to call?
Nice.
And now I'm like kicking myself, like, how did I not think of this? It's Ghostbusters. Their tagline. It's in the freaking song. Who are you gonna call? And it's Doctor Who.
That's the answer to the question.
Really? But now when I look at it, I'm like, how did I not think of that? Who are you going to call?
Going to call. Emphasis on who.
The most obvious. Sometimes you just don't see it, I guess.
Right.
That's what Chauncey said. But yeah, no, it's very, very, very cool, and I need to get a frame for it. So I gotta get a frame for that and hang it up and find a place to hang it.
Yeah, for sure.
Once more, where you need to find wall space.
Yep.
But it's really cool and worth every penny. And actually, the guy, I'll again link in the show notes. But he can do he does appearances at like trade shows and weddings and that sort of thing. But he can also do virtual drawings.
Oh, nice.
So, and he also can do pets.
Oh.
And zombies. If you want a zombie version of yourself. So, but he will do a live portrait for you, like via Zoom or something.
Cool.
Or if you want to hire him for your next event. But it was that was pretty awesome. And then so I picked that up and then dropped it off for safekeeping, and then went and and then the lines were already starting to form for the celebrities, and I knew that I wanted to meet Jim Cummings. And the line started to form in front of his table a little after 10 o'clock, which is when the hall was open for everybody. So I went and hopped in line. Here's the thing with Sundays for 3-day conventions. Sundays are great for a lot of things. That tends to be like the family friendliest day. Some conventions will offer like a family, like maybe ticket bundles. It's like, hey, bring your kids for a discounted rate, that sort of thing. Sundays tend to be more low key. Sunday in this case is also when they had the kids costume contest, which I missed, unfortunately. So Sunday kind of tends to be like family day. Sometimes the vendors will start slashing prices on things because they don't want to have to take all that stuff back. So sometimes you can get a deal on things from vendors, but it's also more chill because everybody's exhausted by this point.
Yep.
So it's like low key because there's no energy left. And that's kind of the case for everybody, except for this one guy from Power Rangers.
Oh boy.
Because Jim's table was right next to where they were doing the professional celebrity photo ops, and they were doing the group photo with all the Power Rangers that were there. And I don't know which guy it was, but because they had 4 the cast from Beast Morphers, which I have not watched. I'm still Power Rangers in space. I am so many series way over here.
Oh gosh. I'm impressed that you're even trying to catch up.
I try is being generous, but yeah, I'm watching it. I'm seeing what I missed out on when I left the fandom back in the day. But so like they're walking in to show up to do the photo op, and one of the guys was like really loud. He's like, "It's morphin' time!" And like everybody around just like jumped like 12 feet off the floor. And I just looked at the person next to me in line, and I'm like, he's either had an extraordinary amount of coffee this morning, or he went to bed at a decent hour.
Yeah.
Because no one else here is that awake. Except for him.
Do not give him more caffeine.
Yeah. Like whatever he is on, don't give him any more.
He hit his quota.
Yeah. Like, you know, like the people I was in line with, like they were like, yeah, it's been a long weekend, and you know, some of the vendors are like, and like Brad was like, yeah, we were up until like 4 a.m.
Did you get any sleep?
Yeah, really? Because I think he was still working on like the podcast awards stuff, which were taking place that day. Yeah. So, apparently a bunch of people got together at the bar at the hotel that most of the celebrities were staying at, and they managed to convince the owner, operator, whatever, to get the UFC fight that was Saturday night, the Conor McGregor, whoever he was fighting, which was on pay-per-view because some of the celebrities wanted to see it. So that's, I think, why a lot of them were up, because they wanted to watch the UFC fight. And all I knew was the next day I was like, Conor McGregor breaks ankle in UFC fight. So I'm like, that's all I know what happened. But yeah, Brandon was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, it was pretty gross when he broke it.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently he just stepped wrong and it was just like,
yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ow.
There's memes going around like, invisible Lego.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently it was pretty brutal. So yeah, so that some people were up late drinking at the bar and watching Conor McGregor shatter his ankle, apparently. So like, we're waiting. Like they have like the Twisted Toonz guys are all in a row, 4 in a row, table wise. So the lines are filling up, and we're just waiting and talking. And as we're standing on the concrete floor, people are slowly like sinking to the floor to like sit down, because like their feet, their lower, my lower back was just like, after a while, it was just like, I'm dying. And we're just waiting and waiting. And finally they start showing up at like 11:30, 11:45. We've been in line since like 10, waiting. So I can't begrudge him too much, because like, I'm not a celebrity by any means. I may think I am in my head sometimes, but I'm minorly locally famous. And but that's about it. So, but even manning like a booth or a table like I do sometimes at conventions, where people are going to stop by and they're going to ask about like the podcast, and if I'm in costume and I've got pictures of my cosplays, and they're asking about the costumes, and having to greet people and be friendly and that sort of thing can be exhausting, especially after being isolated from most of the public for 18 months. It's not like riding a bicycle, remembering how to socialize with people face to face. But even pre-pandemic, it can be exhausting, kind of having to be like, customer service focused in a way, when out in public. So for the celebrities, I'm sure it's even more exhausting, because once you're out there in view of everybody, you kind of just have to be on. You have to be the personality that the people are expecting to see. So, I can't begrudge them, maybe if they struggled a little to get out of bed on Sunday morning. So, some of them, they may still be suffering from jet lag for wherever they came from. So, I'm not going to begrudge them too much. At the end of the day, it was no skin off my back. It didn't affect me, personally in any severe manner, other than a little back pain. But whatever. I'm old. I would probably feel that way anyway. But so Jim finally showed up and got to I wasn't that far back in line, so I didn't have to wait too long to meet him. And again, super nice. I think we lost Chrissy.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, maybe she'll come back, hopefully. The gremlins are out to get us. It's Stripey followed me home.
Did you happen to feed a mogwai after midnight there, Rachel?
Well, I mean, he's already turned, so he's already a gremlin. He's not a mogwai anymore, so.
Gotcha.
Chrissy might be back. Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm back.
Okay, yay!
Sorry, I think my internet just blipped for a second.
Oh, okay. No problem. So yeah, like I said, I wasn't that far back in the line, so I didn't have to wait very long for Jim. And again, just like Maurice, super nice guy. You know, I was like, hey, we have a mutual acquaintance. He's like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, Lou Mangello, WW radio show. He's like, oh yeah. Like, yeah, you were on his show right before Goodbye Christopher Robin came out. He's like, oh yeah, that was back then. I think he meant pre-pandemic. Although that was actually several years ago, because Goodbye Christopher Robin came out in what, 2018? Because I saw it on my last cruise. So, but yes, I mean, back in the good old days before the pandemic and everything else.
Yeah.
That
was such a sweet interview. I love that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Of course, I had to name drop Lou when when talking to someone. Talking to Jim. But yeah, so I got an autograph from him. And got a picture with him with the Duff Door. Yeah. Couple of bears and a podcaster. And then assuming that you did not skip over the very start of this episode as you're listening to us, then you probably heard our new bumper.
Yes.
A certain meddlesome wannabe criminal. He's not a very good criminal. Which I think is why I like Hondo so much. he wants to be Han Solo, but he just does not have the cool factor.
Not really, no. But he tries so hard.
He does.
No. He's a scoundrel with heart.
Yeah. Although that heart can be forgotten if the paved day is big enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, well, you know, what am I doing this recording for? I said, well, I podcast you like Lou. It's called the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. And he's like, what would you like, Darkwing Duck or Tigger? And I'm like, Hondo, if you could. He's like, oh, Hondo. It was really cool to see him go from him asking me which voice he would want to be telling him, and then just like watching, like nothing really changes like physically, but it's really wild to see him like talking like himself, and all of a sudden Hondo's voice is coming out of his mouth. It's so wild to be like up close and do that, and to see that. So it was really wild. But yeah, I was like, well, because when I was thinking about it, I was like, well, Winnie the Pooh would be the obvious.
Yes.
And so would Tigger.
Yes.
But it was like, it's like, do I really want to go the obvious route? I was like, Hondo would be fun. And then for a second there, I was kind of wavering between Hondo and Ray from Princess and the Frog.
Yes.
But I ultimately decided to ask. I ultimately decided to ask for Hondo, and he came up with that like right there and then. What he ended up saying. So
that was so awesome.
Yeah, it's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, when you shared it in the chat, I was just like falling off the top out of my chair.
I can't remember how many times I just hit the replay button.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. So it was that was really cool and worth every penny. It was not free.
Oh, I can imagine that.
These guys, they for the most of them, Billy was the only one that wasn't offering at any price to do voice recordings, but all the others were. And I guess Jim actually slashed his price, his usual asking price, once he saw what everybody else was charging, which kind of expensive for what it was, but I still comparatively, I spent more for parking over the weekend than I did for that recording, so I think I did well.
Wow.
I think it was worth
it. Yeah, if you spent more on parking than what you did for the bumper, you did good, girl.
I think no complaints.
Yeah. I was just like,
anytime you get a voice actor to do it, it's gonna cost something.
Yes.
Having paid for such things myself before.
Yeah.
But gosh, yes. To have Jim Cummings doing anything.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, to have that, I mean, that's priceless. And like it'll last forever. So yeah. So yeah, it was I didn't know what he was going to be charging till I got there. So I just was like, I guess I will find out. But all things considering, I was like, no, this is worth every penny. Especially So I was like, we just celebrated 7 years. We could just like little present. So I got that, and then I sat down with KJ, friend of the show, KJ, who we had on.
Hi, KJ.
Seems like ages ago now with the pandemic and everything.
Everything feels like ages ago.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think I've seen KJ since last PopCon. So it's been a while, at least in person. She's on social media all the time, her and her cats. It was really funny because I had this running gag because we all joke about being like locally famous to like the convention and stuff. Because like KJ, she was on radio for the longest time, and then she was on TV for a while, and still does some stuff for Pet Palace TV. But her husband Patrick works for the celebrity photo ops folks. He's a tall, big dude, kind of like Chauncey, not quite as broad as Chauncey, but still tall, big dude. If imposing, so he makes for good security. Has a good voice, so he can be like, last call for photos with blah blah blah, that sort of thing. Which is funny considering KJ is like, I could stick her in my pocket. She's so teeny tiny. But he walked by the booth at one point, and he was I was standing there with Brandon, and he's like, "Oh, you're Brandon Peters of the Brandon Peters Show?" Poking fun. And I'm like, "Are you Grayson's dad?" Because Grayson's one of their cats. It's kind of the biggest, the most famous cat of all of their cats. So then the rest of the weekend, every time I'd see it, I'm like, "Hi, Grayson's dad!" Acting like some like crazy little fangirl.
Nice.
But yeah, so I sat down with KJ and had a nice chat. Got caught up with her and what she's been doing she's been very busy over the pandemic, and that recording I think will go up probably later this week as a little extra squee, because it's long enough. I think I'd justify, because it's like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, so it'll go up as a little bonus episode. But it was fun to get caught up with her and find out what she's been. I know what she's up to. I'm friends with her, but to talk a bit more about what she's been up to. She's keeping very busy with all sorts of endeavors, kicking butt, taking names, especially as a woman in media, in podcasting, in all of those things. The new television show that she's trying to get off the ground, it's all hosted by women, produced by women, It's a full female production, so which is very, very cool. And of course, she's still got the kind of nerdy network, and all of her girls they're part of that podcast and stuff. So she's helping keeping the us female fangirls blazing that trail. So that was fun to talk to her. They had a booth, a couple of booths down from us. They were celebrating Christmas in July with a Christmas tree covered in Captain America related ornaments, and then they had a stand up of Chris Evans as Captain America from Endgame, and put a Santa hat on the cardboard cutout so that people could Chris in July. So
and how fitting, because I think his birthday is also in the beginning part of July, if memory serves.
I think something like that. Might be. I don't know. Although, according to texts from superheroes, Captain America's birthday is July 5th.
Yeah.
If you follow that page.
Which you should be anyway, because holy crap, it's hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, those I love those.
Not a sponsor, but
yes,
we just love their stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and then after chatting with KJ, it was time for the podcast awards, which Brad did the presentation for. It was pretty quick, because the podcast awards are open to any podcast anywhere. So just because the people enter doesn't necessarily mean they're actually coming to PopCon. So of the I don't know how many categories there were, a good number of them. I think there ended up being like 19 awards, but there was like the overall winner, and then there was like best intro, best art, which we were finalists for a couple of years ago, best editing. So there's some like technical awards too, and then all the categories, and then like a best overall winner. So I think there were 19 total awards, and only 2 winners were actually there to make speeches. And to help fill the time. So
well, that went fast.
Yeah. Well, and the way they do the categories, like some categories, because they just announce the finalists, which is usually 3 finalists, and then they announce the winner. In a couple of categories, there were only 2 submissions to begin with, and I think in one category there was only 1 submission.
Oh boy!
So,
real quick.
Well,
kudos to them.
Good way to.
Congratulations, you swept your category. But then other categories like ours, which was pop culture, there was a lot of submissions. I don't know what the exact number was, but there was enough submissions that they ended up having 4 finalists instead of 3. And we were one of the finalists. We didn't win, but we did. We were a finalist in the pop culture category. And in fact, actually, the pop culture category, all the finalists were within a point of each other.
Holy cow.
So it was
tells you how
close.
Yeah.
It was. So, and yeah, I don't know if there's any feedback from the judges. Brad is not a judge, because he actually produces some of the shows and he knows people, so that would be a bit not appropriate. But he does listen to a number of the submissions, and he actually specifically mentioned to me that and complimented that he has noticed the quality of our show since we started. He's like, whatever you've done, He even asked, like, "What have you done?" Because I can tell there's I've heard a significant improvement in each time that we've entered. I was like, well, I got a new computer recently, so
we started using we ditched Skype.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's true
that
too.
too.
Yeah. So,
I mean, other than that, not sure.
Yeah. Like, thanks. It's still nice to hear that. It's still nice to hear the compliment. You know, and it's obvious. I mean, he comes from a professional radio background, so that's kind of high praise coming from somebody who knows a thing or two about sound.
I mean, and we've been doing this for 7 years, and so you get to a point where I don't know, maybe we figured out how to speak on the podcast, and it's a little. I mean, there's certain amount of skill in that.
Yeah.
You know, you take public speaking classes. I'm sure there's similar things for radio speaking things. Now I'm just spitballing. I really have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know either. I guess we'll just keep doing what we're doing because it seems to be working.
Yeah. Practice. That's all I can really say. But thanks.
How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice.
Yes.
Exactly. So do we know? Is there a way for us to find out what the point spread was for the finalists? I'm just kind of curious where we fell in the.
I mean, if I asked Brad, he would probably tell me. But
okay.
At the end of the day,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. A whole lot. And then I don't remember who won in that category. It was whoever it was. They weren't there. And then in the TV and movie category, once again, very large number of submissions. Imagine that. A lot of pop culture and TV and movie related podcasts out there.
Gee, who knew?
Yeah, I know. So in the TV movie category, once again, large number of submissions, enough that I believe that one also they ended up doing 4 finalists instead, and Gold Standard was one of them. Nick had submitted Gold Standard back when submissions first opened. Actually, I got us in like the day that submissions were going to close.
Nothing like a bit of procrastination.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like for at least for this, they wanted to like submit like your best episode in the last year. Obviously, you don't want to submit something that's from the last time we did the awards.
Right.
So they're like, pick your best show and link to it, and then put in the time code where you think your best like 5 minutes is. And for us, I ended up submitting the episode when we talked to Kier from the Fandom Running. From
nice.
Random Tuesday. Good choice. And actually, the time code that I used was when he was telling the story about the Band-Aids.
Of course.
So I may have tugged at the judge's heartstrings there, maybe a little. That may have helped.
True. A little emotional manipulation never hurts.
Yeah. Nope. I don't know what episode Nick submitted for Gold Standard. I'm gonna have to ask him. What episode it was that he ended up choosing. I just know that he submitted it. But yeah, Gold Standard was a finalist, and actually, even though his old show closed up shop, once again, Brandon Peters walks away with a podcast award from PopCon.
Oh my gosh.
Lucky duck.
So, Cult Cinema Cavalcade won 2 out of the last 3 years, or 3 out of the last 4, or something like that. And then Cult Cinema Cavalcade, they ended after 5 years because they had a 5-year mission, 5-year plan. And then Brandon branched off on his own to do the Brandon Peters show, which I was on earlier this year when I had my birthday 6th Doctor podcast month. 6th Doctor, 11 days. And so Brandon ended up quitting with his new show in in the TV and film category. So I had to yank his chain when Brad announced him when he went up to like say his little thank you speech, and I was like, rigged. Like, you beat me.
We're coming for you, Peters.
Yeah, really.
Just you wait.
Yeah. You just wait. Gold standard. We're just getting started. Yeah, and he ended up filming something that's up on his Facebook page and his YouTube channel where he did a longer thank you, acceptance speech, I guess. So you can go watch that. And I was messaging him after I watched it. I was like, well, I guess if I have to lose to somebody, it might as well be a friend, somebody I know, and somebody I know who actually is doing the work. The hard work, the behind the scenes stuff that most people don't realize is involved with podcasting. He does the artwork. I mean, he's a one-man show. It literally is a Brandon Peters show, and he has guests on, but he's not like us where I've got you guys to help with like social media posts and sharing and things like Brandon does everything. All the promos that he does, he comes up with those and films them and edits them and all of that fun stuff. So it's like I know he's doing the hustle, the behind the scenes stuff that comes with being a podcaster.
We're just yanking his chain a little bit.
We just gotta bust his chops because we can. So after the podcast awards, that was pretty much it. It was a bit, there was like, that was at 4 and everything was over at 5. So time to go back and tear down the booth. And I tried to make sure that all of my booth children took some snacks for the road.
The less that you have to carry home.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like a vendor. Please, the less I have to take home, the better. And that was it. Packed up, went back to the car, and went home and died. And I still feel dead.
But you revived long enough to get on and talk about it.
Yes. My alarm went off this morning, and my first thought was, screw this.
I'm going back to bed.
I got on the horn. I got on the work chat, and I didn't really have anything to do really like first thing this morning for work anyway. So I just got on the work chat and I'm like, I am running really slow. I used up all of my spoons over the weekend, which those of you that know about spoon theory, you'll get that reference. I was like, I've used up all of my spoons. I may have, if I kept going, maybe if I'd like done karaoke, I probably would have ended up using the entire silverware drawer, but I definitely used up all of my spoons over the weekend in the best way. Reconnecting with people that I've not seen in ages, and being back in the vibe, the convention vibe, and feeding off the energy and the celebrities and all the fun stuff that comes with it. But yeah, I had used up all of my spoons and was just like, I'm going back to sleep. I will be on after lunch. And thankfully my boss is kind enough and she's like, it is fine. But yeah, even now I'm just like, like the physical part is okay. I'm still a little sore, the feet are still a little tired and that sort of thing, but just it was as fun as it was, and I was able to feed off the energy of like I said, the seeing people and talking to people and that sort of thing. Just the emotional expenditure, especially after not having that outlet for so long.
Right.
Is I don't want to say I overdid it, because I didn't, but it's almost like any other like muscle or something. Like you need to use it, otherwise it kind of like just atrophies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like my socialization, that little reserve I have to become an extrovert when I get into situations like that has atrophied a little bit.
Yeah.
And I just need to now that we're back to doing things,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything really until Gen Con, which is until September, but like the podcast indie group is starting to meet again, and I think KJ eventually is going to start doing her kind of nerdy night out at the movies and things like that. So hopefully so by this time next year, it'll be like, yep, I'm good, I'm ready. Socialization, bring it on. And next year is already on the calendar, first weekend of June, so that's June 3rd through 5th of 2022. And I've already mentioned to Rob Southgate to maybe think about doing like a Southgate Media Group booth. So it's not necessarily podcast specific, so that we can just promote just Southgate Media Group shows in general. And if specific podcasters, like obviously I could be there to promote the Five-ish Fangirls and Gold Standard, and any others that are local enough that are part of the network that want to come and do that. It's like Rob, he's in Chicago, so it would be easy. He's come down before. So he's this far out, he's like, well, we'll think about it. He's like, I got it. I told him what the dates were, and he's like, noted. Perfect. And I tweeted it, but I specifically was like, I told I was telling Nick and Zan about what happened with the podcast awards, like I was telling you guys, and I was like, PopCon next year, first weekend of June, and Nick is already like, if I can travel, I will be there. So at this point, Nick is already like, I'm ready. So so yeah, it was fun. I'm very happy with the way things turned out. From what I've heard from folks who are in the know, the owners of PopCon are very happy with the turnout. As far as numbers, there's definitely seemed to be a steady stream of people in the vendor hall. We were at a corner at a crossroads for 2 aisles, which was a blessing and a curse, because people would stop in said crossroads and you'd have that look of like, wait, what aisle am I in? Where am I going? Which direction is more than once we had people like, what row am I in? Like, this is the 700s. Like, which way the restroom? That way. That sort of thing.
You need to make a little signpost. This way, this way, this way, that way.
Yeah. Yeah. They were a little late in getting a floor map up. So that would have helped, I think, if the map had been up a little sooner so people could actually look at it and get a feel for everything. But again, it is there's several things that like fell through the cracks, and unfortunately that's a side effect of the having to navigate with the convention center and the city and the county and the state as far as what would be allowed and what wouldn't. So literally up until like 3 days before the convention was supposed to start, they were getting like word from like the government and like the local CDC and stuff, like like these are the protocols that you're going to need to follow if you're going to have your event. And how that may affect the things that they wanted to do and layouts and that sort of thing, like how far apart are the booths gonna have to be, that sort of thing. So unfortunately, because of that, there are some things that fell through the cracks, but going forward, hopefully, knock on wood, things will continue to improve, and then it won't be as big an issue next year. Here's hoping. And like I said, Brad has already mentioned that he would like some help, and I volunteered, and I think Brandon's going to volunteer too. And we were already like throwing around ideas of things that could, make things run smoother next year. And even KJ, when we were talking, we were like, she's like, we should get together after and have a little powwow and be like, okay, here's like the things that we can bring to the table to help you guys help this run smoother and just make the convention be the best that it can be, like the Army.
Yes.
Because I think that was the phrase for the Army, at least at one point, I think. Maybe the Marines. I don't know. One of those branches of the military. That was a catchphrase. I love PopCon. At the end of the day, it's my favorite convention. If I didn't go to any others and just this one, I would be a happy camper, because for me, it's like the right size. It's not Gen Con size, but it's not in conjunction size either. I mean, I love in conjunction too. I would still go to in conjunction, but it's a slightly different vibe. Too, because their focus really is kind of like literature and art and that sort of thing. And then PopCon is like pop culture, so YouTubers and cosplay and podcasting and some celebrities, anime and that, all those things,
all the things.
And then Gen Con is just, it's a dragon, is what Gen Con is. So for me, like PopCon is just like the right size convention, as far as like, and they just have a good variety. Going into it, I was like, well, there's not really celebrities that I'm like really excited to meet. I was like, well, I'm excited about Jim Cummings. Like he's done so many Disney voices. I'm like, he's kind of like my childhood. And then Pinky and the Brain, they're like my favorite part of Animaniacs. No offense to Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, but I have a soft spot for Pinky and the Brain.
Same here.
And I did my one other purchase. Was I did stop to talk to Greg Doling, who I interviewed several PopCons ago, back when he was just doing the Signing Away Hunger fundraising for the local food bank. And since then he has he's getting up there as far as living the dream, the nerdy dream. He now has a podcast with a fellow, because Greg is an amazing prop replica creator. I don't know if he posts. I think he posts on their Facebook page too. You'd have to be friends with him to see stuff on his Facebook page. But he's got a full size Han Solo and Carbonites, and like he's got like a replica of Pee-wee's bike from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And yeah, he's an amazing prop person. So he and a fellow prop guy, Mike, have a podcast, props to history, I think is what it's called. I'll have to find a link to it and put it in the show notes. But they are working actually on possibly getting a TV show.
Wow.
Nice.
Where they, I guess, go around finding movie props and talking about them. And I don't know exactly what the premise is because it's still in the development stage. But
I've seen something similar. That's something someone did a while back. I forgot what it was called though.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, especially if the TV show does end up taking off. It'd be pretty awesome for him. So I caught up with him. Got to meet his fellow partner in crime, Mike. And then my last purchase was a gift for Chauncey, because Chauncey, God love him, was not with me because one, this is not really his thing, but two, he's been working very, very hard. He's got his day job, which he already works full-time for. And then on the side, he does freelance contract work for this company that has him working almost full-time for them. Like it's at least part-time for them on the weekends. And then that his contract work is also part of, he's doing that through our company, Sciutil, which is our technology startup that we started up a couple of years ago. So on top of him working for this company, doing programming for them, they're also one of the companies that is utilizing the controller device that he invented and now has a patent for. The patent process finally finished earlier this year. Yay, so now Chauncey has a patent with his name on it. Very cool. Nice. But because it is electronic, preferably most electronics, you want to have safety tested. And get that, the little stamp of approval, UL listing or whatever. There's several different organizations out there that will do that sort of thing. UL, I think, is the most common, but there are some others too. He reached the point in the process of, upgrading. Working out all the kinks and the bugs and the software and everything, and coming up with a design that works, does the functions that he's always wanted to have. So we finally reached the point where it was time to send those in to get tested, to safety tested. So those got mailed out last week. To the two different labs that will be doing the testing. So that was like a big milestone to reach, both the patent getting, finally processed and filed with the U.S. Patent Office, and now having these sent out to get that safety testing. So as a present for Chauncey for all of his hard work, I ended up getting him an autograph from Jim O'Hare, who played Jerry on Parks and Recreation, because Chauncey's a big Parks and Rec fan.
Nice.
And Jerry, because everybody's like, "Damn it, Jerry!" He even signs his autographs. He's like, "Damn it, Jerry!" He writes that on there, because that was like the running gag on the show. Damn it, Jerry! So Jim was super nice. I told him, I was like, "Yeah, I'm getting this autograph for my husband." It was giving him like the non-technical explanation of everything. And he's like, "Well, what's your husband's name?" And I said Chauncey, and I started to spell it out because 99% of the time people are like, "How do you spell that?" So I was like, CH. He's like, "Wait a minute, CHAUNCEY," and I'm like, "Yes, actually."
Like, that's it exactly.
Yes. And he was like, yes, people look at me and they think, oh, he's such a pretty face. He must be dumb, but really, I'm more. He was super, super nice, and like really genuinely seemed to be like impressed with what Chauncey's been doing. He's like, there's like that would be amazing, if it passes and gets that certification and everything. That could be, a big life-changing thing. I'm like, yeah, kind of is. So, so that was Chauncey's present. Just getting him Jim's autograph. So, and he was super nice. So, but anyway,
nice.
How I still have a voice at this point is beyond.
I don't
Probably
know.
because I didn't do any panels, unlike last weekend where I did 8.
Well, how about if you're done regaling us with your tales, I'll take over from here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a nice segue.
Pictures are on Facebook.
Yes, pictures are on Facebook. If any of our listeners went to PopCon and you guys want to share your experiences and pictures and what have you, you can send us feedback, which is to our email address, which is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. Our website is the5ishfangirls.com, and that has links to all of our social media places where you can leave comments and interact with us however you choose. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We read out all comments that we get there, or at least, acknowledge them. And we also have, what else do we have? I feel like I haven't done this in forever, which I haven't. You can get our podcast wherever. You can download it on whatever favorite podcast catching channel you use. Go ahead and check us out there. You can tell I'm rusty from this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. It's all on the website. Everything is literally
everything is on the website.
Just go to the fiveishfangirls.com.
Go to the website and
call it a day.
Yeah. And there's places to support us. And as always, we thank you for listening. We thank you for your support and your comments and feedback. And we're just glad you're out there. So hope everyone is doing well and staying safe and doing all your great, awesome things that you do. Living your best life, as Tom Nook is wont to say.
Mm-hmm.
From Animal Crossing. If anyone didn't get that reference. I love Tom Nook. Does it show some days? He's adorable. I need a plushie of him. Anyway, go live your best life. That's all.
Yes. Yes. So with that, we shall sign off for this week. And I think we lost Brittany again.
All right. Well, this is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Have a good one.
You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefiveishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/fiveishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/fiveishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/fiveishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.